So a couple of days ago, I put a post out on one of our Facebook groups for MSPs, and I asked if you don't sell cybersecurity to your clients, why not? And while I wasn't surprised by the results, I did find them quite interesting to the point that I thought I would create this video to help people understand each one of the reasoning behind why someone isn't selling cybersecurity. So maybe it can help you uncover that for yourself, and then also to start applying cybersecurity to your own organization, to your own MSP. So let me go ahead and share this. So this was taken just a few days ago, and as you see, 49 people voted, and the majority of people just said, "My clients will not pay for it." And I get it. If we look back at the history of MSPs, we were really focused at the beginning as a help desk support. And the problem with that now is that while that was a big thing then, it is a big thing now, but it's not nearly as big. Everyone is offering help desk support. So when you get into the bucket of everyone else, you become a commodity, and it's really hard to sell it because they have someone down the street that can do it for a whole lot cheaper. So instead of looking at it as the client will not pay for it, we really need to understand as an organization, as a business, as an MSP, do we want to move forward with serving clients from a help desk support perspective, or do we really want to start focusing on cybersecurity? Now, with that, I really want to clarify cybersecurity. When we talk about cybersecurity, we're the idea behind it, because this can get really, really broad, but the ideal is that we are focusing on protecting our clients from threats from internet-based activities or from someone plugging in, a thumb drive into their organization, whatever it may be. But the idea is that we're selling services to protect our clients' organizations, their network, and their Microsoft 365 environments and any other cloud-based environments that they have. Yes, if you are doing help desk support and you provide an antivirus, sure, I get that. But that's such a small piece of the cybersecurity puzzle. It's a small area that you're focusing on. It's not really, I would consider that just providing help desk support and not so much as cybersecurity. So when we talk about the clients that will not pay for it, because there are clients that won't, they don't care about cybersecurity. They don't care about being hacked. They think they have nothing to lose, and that's fine. And I assure you, you will not convince them. If you want to focus on cybersecurity, if you want to generate revenue based upon protecting organizations, then you have to start looking at your clients differently. And more specifically, your prospects differently. So your ideal client profile will look different for companies that you want to focus on cybersecurity. But first, you have to, as an MSP, you got to decide that you want to start selling from a cybersecurity focus point. And when you do that, the next steps become a little bit easier. So from that point, then you start to say, okay, what am I going to offer? How am I going to offer it? And who am I gonna selling it to? In this particular situation, the focal point being, who am I gonna sell it to? And that's anyone that's concerned or worried about being compromised. Now, if you're talking to one of those individuals, one of those business owners, or they had a friend that was compromised, this number one thing here, this "my client will not pay for it," is not going to be a problem. The issue that you're having when the clients won't pay for it is you've got the wrong client. You've got a client that's focused on IT support, but you as an organization, you're changing. You're moving ahead from that. You're moving into the space of cybersecurity. Thus, you're probably going to have to leave some of those people behind. The reality, if they think you're doing IT support for them, they think you're doing cybersecurity support for them too. Whether you charge them for it or whether you even include it, at the end of the day, you're probably going to be liable for it anyway. So you may as well start to do that. And then you would have to start to whittle away from the clients that aren't interested in that. Not everyone is your client, and that's okay. So when you have conversations, even with your existing, it's if you're not willing to move up to the next package that we have, or our new offerings that offer cybersecurity protections, then we'll gladly move you off to someone else. And I understand, as a business owner, you fear losing revenue, but I tell you, I assure you, more than anything, that that person will ultimately cost you a tremendous amount, not only potentially in risk, but also, if they were ever breached because you didn't provide them any security, If they were ever breached and someone came up to them and said, "Oh my god, that's horrible. Who's your IT?" And they said, "Your company's name," I assure you, they won't say, "But I didn't take their small, I didn't take their best package, I took their lowest package." They're just gonna stop at your name. And I assure you, as that gets around, people will not want to do business with you. So at some point, you got to make a decision. Are you just going to continue to do IT support, or are you going to move up and become more cyber focused with IT support included? That changes everything. When it comes to, I do not know how to sell cybersecurity, it's really pretty simple. It's you focus on it from the beginning when you start talking to prospects. It's like if you aren't interested in when you're talking to a prospect and they're in front of you, you should be saying things like, if you aren't interested in cybersecurity, we probably aren't a good fit. And that's okay. But we can shake hands, be friends. And when you are ready to make that step, when you are ready to start to protect your organization, we're here to help you. At that point, the conversation just opens up. But really, in order to be able to sell it and even in order to be able to offer it to your clients, you have to know what's included. You have to know how to package it, how to price it, things of that nature. There's a lot out there on pricing, so I won't get into that too much, although maybe we can do another video on that. But from a packaging perspective, if you have zero place to go, you have nowhere to start, the best thing you can do is go to Google, whatever your search engine of choice is, and search for cyber liability application. Find as many of those as you can. Download those, print them, and start to look at what cyber liability insurance applications are asking. If you can start to whittle those down and start to give an answer for every one of those, that's your package because they're getting hit and they're getting hit hard. So they're creating applications. The carriers want these applications to be difficult and challenging, and they want to show like you care. Because if you don't and you don't put certain solutions in, their risk is high. It's gonna cost a lot more money. So, the applications are a very good way to start. If you don't know where to start with cybersecurity or offering it, look at cyber liability policy applications and start checking the boxes. Put those into one bucket, set a price on it, some sort of multiplier, and set a price on it, and that's your offerings. It's really pretty straightforward. It's not super difficult, but you can't stop there. As a business, as an MSP, the mindset is that I'm always looking for risk and I'm always looking to find a way to put a hole, to plug that hole. There's always risk. You're not going to find them all. You can't get to them all and you can't manage them all, but you can do the best you can with the largest parts and then provide multiple layers of protection so that a ransomware file in an email has to go through an email security or spam filter. Then it has to make it to the desktop. Then it has to make it through antivirus. Then it has to make it through, well, before that, the web content filtering, then the antivirus, and then your application whitelisting. There's so many different layers that you put in there. So you definitely want to sometimes double up on things. Microsoft 365, it's important to have the protection because it's probably one of your largest segments that get compromised because, well, it's pretty easy. So making sure that you're filling those holes along the way and not just sticking to that one original plan is a really important technique to help you continue to sell not only cybersecurity services, but also current cybersecurity services. In 2018, EDR was a big thing. Now it's like normal hygiene. It's basic. It may help you, it may not. And so it's just not enough. And as we continue to move through, at some point, application whitelisting was a big thing. It is a big thing now, but in a couple years, it may not be quite enough. So there's always going to be something else. And so as you continue to go down that road, you want to continue to look for ways to improve on your ability to protect your clients. While you're doing that and you're dealing with prospects, from that point forward, you have to be mature enough in an organization that you don't accept pulling any of those services back. It's all in or it's all out. If you do something in between, you're creating liability, you're creating space in there where someone can be compromised and because they assume that you're taking care of all of it and that one thing that you allowed them to pull off developed a compromise. It's not worth it to your organization. It's not worth it to your MSP. You have to do better. Thus, my recommendation, don't offer average packages. Don't offer a good, better, best. It's all I have, or it's all or we're just not doing this at all. So when people talk about the second next one, I honestly don't know where to start. Well, kind of start with what I just said. First thing is do you want, as an MSP, do you really want to sell cybersecurity? Do you want that to be a focal point? The answer is a yes or no. If it's a yes, everything from this point forward has to have that focus on it. So you're going to start developing your package. I explained that using cyber reliability applications to quickly create a form for which you're going to start to deliver cybersecurity solutions. And then you're going to use that as a selling technique. And when you talk to people, you're going to say, look, cyber liability insurance is really important. And in order to make sure that you have the best premiums, the lowest premiums, the best payouts and the lowest deductibles, the best limits, uh, we've set our services to meet the majority of those companies out there that you're going to get you're going to get some sort of proposal from or quote from. And so the likelihood that you get the best rates at the best pay, the best limits and all that stuff is there just with our package because that's how we designed it. So it's a really good selling point. But you put that together and then you start talking to your current clients and you say, look, we're making a shift. They may mean some of your clients kind of have to come off. And I understand if your company lives off of and you can't afford to get rid of clients, I get it. So instead of doing that, go find new clients. And as you go find a new client that loves cyber and loves being protected, pull off one that's not. And then slowly you'll work your way out of the situation to where you are in this bucket of people that just want IT support. The other thing is it's not gonna be cheap, so don't look for cheap. Generally, in the MSP market, it's a multiplier of cost, and so when you look for cheap products, your multiplier doesn't present as much revenue to the organization, and if you don't get enough revenue, we are in an expensive industry. Staffing is tremendously hard to get, and it's expensive, so you have to make sure that you've got the money available, the revenue available, the profit available to pay for salaries. So make sure that you don't go for the cheapest because, you could save 40 cents by going to some random antivirus versus getting an antivirus that you knew worked well, or you're saving a dollar or two on email security when you really probably shouldn't. Get the right thing, not what works and not what's cheapest. At that point, you have those conversations with your current clients, you have conversations with new clients, and you make sure they understand that you're all focused on cybersecurity. That's what you do, and that's what you love, and that's what we are doing moving forward. But if not, cool. Again, shake that hand and just move on down the road. Eventually, they'll come back and they'll need cybersecurity because something will cause them to want it. Sometimes it's too late, but you can't speed that up. It has to go at their pace. And so just be there for them and let them know. And then from that point forward, hopefully they'll come back to you. Now, there are a subset of organizations, and it's probably a large group of people or organizations that have internal teams and they handle that internally. And that's great. That's cool. You still should sell it. Unless you're selling 100% to internal organizations, you should be selling cybersecurity. It's where most of the revenue will come from, and it is also your highest amount of risk, and so that's why revenue comes with the risk. So when we're looking at customers that handle it internally, it's also associating the types of solutions that you offer. There is there is value to be had when you can provide those services to internal IT teams. So we have a lot of relationships with internal IT where we sell more like a VAR. So we provide them a service and a solution and the expertise and knowledge to run that, and we help them with that, but they manage it for the most part. Some of the solutions that we deliver are only through MSP channels, so they can't get it if they wanted to. But our expertise allows us to be able to give them a tool that works, teach them how to use it, help support it if they need it, and then call back into our vendor support if we happen to need to. So while that is a barrier, but it's really an opportunity and it's an opportunity to sell it differently. And the last one is I do not sell. I consult my clients on best practices and effectively enhancing their business securely through technology. And that's a really good point. So being able to sell on value is a tremendous part of this. But honestly, at the end of the day, you're selling something, whether it's you're selling it by value, whether you're selling solutions as a package, whatever it is, or it's a looking at the earth as a whole, or a piece of it, or a country, or a state. At the end of the day, you're still selling it. And so making sure that you're doing things that are valuable, making sure that you are doing things that are important for your clients, that are meaningful, that help them feel safer at night. And I guess at the end of this, I'll caveat that all of this is really important. And if you want to really move your organization, of the 50 people that voted here, hopefully I've given you enough information that can help you walk away from the table and immediately start to create some sort of action. There is one thing in here that isn't discussed, and it probably shouldn't be from a survey perspective, but you have to have an agreement that matches what you do. And so working with a reputable MSP attorney, this isn't something where you go, "Hey, where can I get the cheapest attorney?" This is something you say, "Who's an attorney that deals with cybersecurity that can keep me out of trouble?" And then you work with them to get your agreement so that it protects you. One of the things is you should say is, I can't guarantee 100% security. I can't guarantee you won't be compromised, but what I can guarantee you is I'll give you everything I have to help you resolve that if it does happen. I put so many solutions in place, the likelihood is low, but your agreement needs to say that you can't guarantee it 100%. And also, if you're in a compliance industry, making sure that you have some sort of clause in there that basically says, while we will help you to support require compliance, regulatory requirements, whatever you have, whether it's HIPAA security or whatever, while we will be here to help you support it, at the end of the day, the organization must be responsible and accountable uh, for the compliance model. So you're there to help, but you're not responsible at the end of the day. Those types of things are really, really important. So, first, are you willing to become a cybersecurity focused MSP? Get an agreement in place that's going to protect you. If you don't know where to start from what to sell, then you're going to look at cyber reliability applications. You're going to then start to get solutions to fill those boxes. You want to be able to fill 80+% of almost every application you download. If not, you want to work towards that first, and then you really want to get that as high as possible. And in situations where you work with a client that has different requirements, you'll have to fill in where those spaces aren't. And so keeping your eyes on those applications is really important. They have shifted, even within months, they've shifted. So keeping your eyes on that is a really big part of this. And then having the right conversation with prospects and clients saying, look, we're moving away from an IT support focused model, and we're going to be cybersecurity focused. We're really important. It's really important to us. We really want to protect your organization. So here are three questions that I need to make sure that we or three statements that I want to cover with you. One is, we're not cheap. When the cybersecurity stuff is not cheap, and we're not cheap. And if you're looking for cheap, we're probably not your person. If you're only focused on cybersecurity, or you're only focused on help desk support and you don't want anything else, we're probably not your person. And if you aren't focused on cybersecurity, we're not your person. So with those three little statements said to someone, you can within a few minutes understand whether they're going to be a true prospect for you or not, or they're going to be a client that you can upgrade. So I hope this helps. More to come on this, and maybe we'll do another one, or I'll do another one on the pricing side of this. But at the end of the day, MSPs really should be focused on selling cybersecurity, because I promise you, with an agreement or without an agreement, whoever you are dealing with right now, they think you're doing it. So you may as well get paid for doing it.